Sarah Jones, a cashier at Wilson's grocery store, struggles to make ends meet as the daughter of a single mother. On a busy Thanksgiving day, she sees an elderly woman struggling to pay for her groceries. Without hesitation, Sarah uses her own credit card to cover the $78 bill. Unbeknownst to her, this kind act of kindness is being witnessed by someone very special on the store's cameras. The simple act of kindness from a 24-year-old cashier living on a shoestring quickly changes her life. What happens next proves that small acts can create unexpected miracles. Hello everyone, welcome to Stories to Heal. Today I am excited to share a new story with you. Don't forget to subscribe and watch to the end. Sarah Jones is a 24-year-old young woman who lives a simple life as a cashier at Wilson's grocery store. This small store is one of the local community's go-to places for their daily needs. Although her job may seem ordinary, Sarah's role in the store is very important to the customers who come in every day. Sarah's life is full of challenges, including difficult ones. She lives with her mother, Linda, who has had a heart condition for 3 years. This disease requires Linda to undergo intensive medical treatment, which costs a lot of money. However, Sarah's income as a cashier is barely enough to meet her daily needs, let alone cover the expense of medical expenses. This situation often makes Sarah feel depressed, although she never shows it to her mother. Every morning, Sarah starts her day with full dedication. She wakes up at 5 to prepare a simple breakfast for herself and her mother. After making sure her mother's needs are met, Sarah walks 2 miles to her job at the grocery store. Although the trip is tiring, she carries on with her routine with strong determination. Despite her fatigue, Sarah always tries to smile, both for her mother and for the customers she serves. For Sarah, her mother's happiness is everything, and it gives her the strength to keep going. Every day, behind the register, she serves customers with great kindness, as if for a moment she forgets all the burdens she carries in her life. The week before Thanksgiving, the store is very busy. Customers come and go, buying groceries in preparation for the holiday. Sarah held her breath, trying to keep a smile on her face even as exhaustion set in. But something happened that day that would change her life forever. Around noon, an older woman named Rose entered the store. Rose was a regular customer at Wilson's Grocery. She was carrying a small basket of simple groceries: a small turkey, some potatoes, carrots, and a carton of cranberry sauce. Rose smiled at Sarah as she reached the checkout counter. But when Rose opened her wallet, Sarah saw the worry on the older woman's face. Rose began to count her money over and over, but finally she let out a long sigh. "Sorry, dear. I think I'm out of cash," Rose said softly, her voice trembling as she began to put the items she had chosen back into the basket. Her hands were trembling, reflecting the shame and despair that was consuming her. Tears welled up in her eyes, ready to fall at any moment. "Maybe I can just get the potatoes. I don't need the turkey. That's enough." Sarah looked at Rose with a heavy heart. The older woman reminded her of her grandmother, who had died a year ago. She knew the feeling of not having enough money to meet basic daily needs. Her heart was moved. Without thinking, she immediately took out her credit card from her wallet and said in a soft but sincere voice, "Don't worry, Mom. I'll pay for everything." Rose was shocked. The old woman immediately shook her head and politely refused. "Oh, no, dear. I can't accept that. You must have your own money. I don't want to bother you." But Sarah just smiled, a warm and reassuring smile. "My grandmother always said that Thanksgiving is about sharing and giving. Just think of this as a little gift from me to you," she said quietly, trying to convince Rose. Rose could no longer hold back her emotions. The tears she had been holding back finally flowed freely. She approached Sarah and hugged her tightly behind the counter, her body trembling with emotion. "Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. God will surely bless you for your kindness." After paying for Rose's purchases, Sarah glanced at her bank balance. It was down to just $35, a figure that forced Sarah to immediately recalculate her personal budget. She knew what it meant. She would have to skip lunch for the next week to keep her spending under control. But seeing the grateful smile on Rose's face, Sarah realized that all of her sacrifices, no matter how big or small, had been worth it. Unbeknownst to Sarah, a man named Thomas Morgan was watching the scene through the store's security cameras. Thomas was no ordinary man. He was the owner of the store, a successful businessman known for his humble nature. Despite his many other businesses, Thomas often made time to sneak into his store without the employees' knowledge. In this way, he could directly observe the day-to-day operations without the formalities that usually accompanied his presence. As it happened, Thomas was in the manager's office that day, watching the security camera footage. Thomas was struck by what he saw. In a world that often felt cold, competitive, and selfish, small acts of kindness like Sarah's were rare and precious. He felt compelled to give Sarah a special award as a token of appreciation for her kindness. Thomas felt that such behavior deserved attention and support. That afternoon, the store manager called Sarah into the office. When Sarah heard the call, she felt nervous. Bad thoughts began to haunt her. She was worried that she had done something wrong or accidentally broken a rule. With cautious steps, she entered the manager's office, only to find a man she did not recognize sitting there. The man smiled warmly, radiating an aura that immediately made the atmosphere a little more comfortable. "Sarah," the man said in a soft but firm voice, "I am Thomas Morgan, the owner of this shop. I noticed what you did for Rose earlier. Tell me, why did you decide to help me when I know you are going through a hard time yourself?" Sarah was a little puzzled by the question, but she answered honestly, "Rose reminds me of my grandmother. I couldn't let her go home without food on Thanksgiving." Thomas smiled even wider. "Your kindness inspires me. I would like to offer you a job as my new community programs manager, with a salary of $85,000 a year and full health benefits." Sarah was surprised. "But, sir, I'm just a high school graduate and a cashier," she said, her voice shaking. Thomas nodded. "That's true. But you have something more valuable: kindness and natural leadership. That's much more important than any degree." Thomas also handed Sarah a check for $50,000 to help pay her mother's medical bills. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. She could hardly believe that her life of struggle had finally come to a light. When Sarah returned home that night, she told her mother everything. Linda, who was usually quiet because of her illness, hugged Sarah tightly as she cried. "Your dad would be proud," she said in a soft voice. A year later, Sarah was running the Kindness Card program, an initiative at Thomas's company that allows cashiers to help customers in need. The program has successfully reached thousands of people, providing small, meaningful help to those in need. Now, with proper medical care, Linda is slowly recovering and living a much better life than before. The big change in her life is inseparable from the role of Rose, the old woman who started it all with one small step of love. Now Rose has become an integral part of Sarah's family, and her presence brings its own happiness. They often spend time together celebrating special days, sharing stories, laughter, and genuine happiness. On the day the Kindness Card program was launched, Sarah stood confidently in front of her former coworkers at the grocery store and shared a very inspiring message. She said, "It all started with one small act done with sincerity. Kindness has the power to change the world, although we often don't realize how much impact it has on others. But believe me, every kindness we give will come back to us, sometimes in the most unexpected ways." At home, the atmosphere is warm as Sarah and her mother busily prepare Thanksgiving dinner. They lovingly set the table and eagerly await Rose's arrival with the family's favorite apple pie. As her eyes fall on the rows of family photos hanging on the dining room wall, Sarah smiles softly. She realizes that the greatest blessing in life is the courage to care and share with others. Now her life is filled with hope, warmth, and boundless gratitude. Like this story? Click like to subscribe to more stories and share your thoughts in the comment section.